Good Saturday morning and welcome to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, the show that's talking about all the great things happening in our community. Hope you had a great Christmas and got to spend a lot of time with your family. We have a great show for you today. My guest today is our new Circuit Court Clerk, Jennifer Wilkerson. Good morning, Jennifer.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
First, let me say congratulations for being our new Circuit Court Clerk. I know when I took office, those first 3 or 4 months were just unbelievable. It was kind of a whirlwind. How's your first 4 months gone?
Well, first let me say thank you. It really is a blessing, and I have enjoyed it very much. My time, these first 3 months have definitely been really fast paced, a lot going on up there, but I am enjoying it very much. I've met so many great people, and there are so many people, wonderful people who work inside the Justice Center and for the Putnam County, and that's really great. So it's been a good opportunity.
A lot of great county employees that sometimes don't get the credit they deserve working in the background.
Absolutely, and those folks are the people who keep us going day to day. You know, we have people inside of maintenance or people inside of IT who help you on a day-to-day basis, and it's crucial for you to do the job and to be there and be available for the people. To have those folks, they're the kind of the foundation of the county. They
are, and they're our greatest asset in the county, and we thank them for everything they do. Tell me a little bit about what your job entails. I think most people, if you go out and you ask them what's the circuit court clerk do, if they've never been involved in a lawsuit or a case, they probably don't have any clues. So give us a little overview of what your job entails.
Yeah, so the circuit court clerk is really a very broad position, and we handle everything, we facilitate everything that comes through the court system. So you could be dealing with anything from traffic tickets, you deal with civil lawsuits, you help facilitate the dockets, keep recordings of the court, and you can deal with, we even do passports. So there's just a ton of things that come through that office and things that we help facilitate and manage for the court system.
So I've always said you have the most difficult job of any of the elected officials. And people say, why do you say that? Because your clientele that's coming in are people that are either in trouble, they're involved in a lawsuit, they're having to sue somebody. Other than those people that's probably coming in to get a passport, most of the other folks are upset or stressed out with the goings on in their lives at that time. Am I imagining that, or is that pretty true?
Well, certainly a lot of the folks that we see are there, and it's not always for great reasons, whether they're paying fines or court costs and those kinds of things. But we also see a lot of people who just need help with some of the things. So there are a lot of good folks who just make bad decisions or have bad things that happen to them. You even see people who have a lot of civil lawsuits where they've had some tragedy and they aren't able to pay a bill, and so they've been turned over to a collection or a lawsuit, and so then there's some collection process that happens through the court system. And so those folks are coming into the office as well. You really just see a lot of people, and then sometimes you see people who've just had some traffic tickets, maybe not the best day that they've had. They need to come in and take care of those things. So, but by far and large, the majority of the people are folks that have probably had some difficulty and maybe not there for the best reasons.
So, as I'm in and out of the Justice Center, don't go over every day, but a lot of times on a weekly basis, it seems like the number of cases and everything is increasing dramatically. Are you seeing that?
It is. I started about 20 years ago in this system, in the judicial system, and I have seen a tremendous increase in that time. And I think you're going to see an even more increase as our population continues to grow. The crime rates also continued on the rise, and then of course you have just the number of civil lawsuits and those things that are increasing as well. But we build in about over 20,000 new cases every year.
Wow.
So with those new cases that you have, we also have thousands and thousands of older cases that are still going, where people have still fines or fees or things that they're paying on, or sometimes court cases go on for years where they're still waiting on dockets to have resolution on their case.
That's amazing to think that 20,000 new cases are formed or filed each year. This is just Putnam County.
Absolutely, yeah.
When you think about that on a statewide or a nationwide basis, unbelievable. And I know it's got to be stressful sometimes with handling so many cases and the dockets and all these judges and one thing, you schedule for the courts, right?
We do. So when those cases come in, we put those on the dockets. We sort of keep those calendars and schedules along. We work hand in hand with the judges and their staff members, law enforcement, the attorneys, and those people to try to help facilitate these cases and keep them on dockets and manage those things. And then also, you have to make sure by law, all those items, anything that happens in the court is recorded into what's called an official minute, right? A record book of the comings and goings of the court. And so all that is mandated by law to keep those records.
We're talking to Jennifer Wilkerson, our new circuit court clerk this morning. Jennifer, the multiple different kinds of court, can you kind of go into those a little bit? Because most people think, okay, it's a justice center, we got judges, but they don't understand that each one of them is different and they handle different types of cases, right?
They are. So the judicial system is laid out in a couple of things. So you have your lower courts, or your courts that handle everyday things like your traffic tickets or small misdemeanors or things of that. But then you also have your larger courts, which are your trial courts, your larger criminal courts. Those are upper level, or considered upper level courts. So you may have traffic court, you may have criminal court, you may have civil courts that are going on, you have juvenile courts. Those things are separated out. And then, of course, cases that are civil lawsuits and things, those are all held in a separate court as well. There's just really a lot of different courts with a lot of different judges, and so you have to be on top of what's happening in each court and what the rules and regulations are for each court.
So each one of these judges, they hold their own court. They have their own offices off-site, their own people, but you act basically as, and I don't want this to sound bad, but kind of like the Secretary of the County Commission does, or you're making sure that case, everything about it is recorded and taken care of, the minutes basically of that case, so that it can go back and be looked at any time, correct? Yes,
because there's appeal processes or things that go on, and so it's important to keep up with those records and make sure that if anything goes to an appeal process, that you have all those things documented.
You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. We're talking with Circuit Court Clerk Jennifer Wilkerson this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here we go. 3, 2, you're on the air.
Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, the show that's talking about all the great things happening in our community. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Our special guest this morning is Circuit Court Clerk Jennifer Wilkerson. Jennifer, we've been talking about all of your daily tasks and functions of your office and everything. Let's go back and talk about where it all began. Born and raised in Cookeville or somewhere else?
No, absolutely. Born and raised here in Putnam County. My husband was actually born in another state, but he moved here to Cookeville when he was very, very young, just a few months old. And so both of us have lived here our whole lives, pretty much, and that's where we've chosen to raise our family.
Wow. So your husband's THP.
That's right. He's a state trooper.
Somebody to be scared of, I've always said. I'm sure you're not, but he's a great guy. He is really a great guy. So how'd you meet? How did all that come about?
We actually met 20 years ago at Cookeville Police Department. We both were working the night shift.
You were a dispatcher. I forgot about that.
Yes, I was. So it's the odd thing here in Putnam County. People think of Putnam County as being a really small area, and I guess in some ways it does have that small town feel. But we went to high school together, and we didn't even know each other in high school. Went on in our 20s and both started to work for the police department, and that's where we met. And we decided when we were going to get married that one of us needed to get a job that had normal hours. So I left the Cookeville Police Department and accepted a position with the DA's office. And he and I got married and had some children.
How long have you been married?
We've been married 16 years, almost 17 now.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
That's great. That's a great story. I know your mom and dad, for the folks that may not know them, they've been very influential in your life and just great people. Growing up had to be fun with them.
Oh my goodness. I think when you're young, you don't realize that you have the greatest parents. You just think that they're there, they're enforcing the rules, or they're taking care of you. But you take that kind of thing for granted. And now that I've gotten older, I've had kids of my own, I look back and think really what an amazing childhood I had. My parents were involved in every aspect of my life, and they've always sort of been those people who supported me and lifted me up, but also pushed me a little when I needed that. And they were just really great. They spent a lot of time doing things with us and letting us experience things and teaching us about life. So yeah, I had a great set of parents. And I'm
They're
really
just super
fortunate.
people. I
Thank
was
you.
amazed as you were campaigning. They were there with you, supporting you 100%. That means a lot to have family behind
Oh
you.
yeah, you know, my mom always said this has probably been not only my rock, but she's my biggest cheerleader. So
That's
for sure.
great. That's great. So, talk a little bit about before you became circuit court clerk, your previous job. I'm not sure that was an easy job either.
You know, it wasn't an easy job. I was the executive director of the Child Advocacy Center, and so I helped develop that program. I implemented the program and served as their executive director for about 15 years. It was a difficult job. You work hand in hand with law enforcement, the district attorney's office, the Department of Children's Services on all severe child abuse cases. So it's not an easy job, but it is a rewarding position.
The things you must have seen, though, does that? I know in EMS, I always felt like I had a gift that I could go out and work all those bad calls and didn't take it home with me. It didn't bother you. Did you have that same gift?
You know, for the most part, you're able to go on and do things on a day-to-day basis, and you just do what you have to do to get by. But there are sort of there are things that sort of last with you, things that you'll never forget, things that you see or things that you experience that just sort of linger there. And you know, a lot of kids that would come through were sometimes kids what you would say multiples, right? You would see them at multiple times throughout their life, and so sad situations that sort of stayed with you forever, or things that you couldn't really do anything about, and those things were difficult, and so it does sort of have this lasting impact on you.
I always said I probably saw more in a week than most people see in a lifetime, and I'm guessing the same was in your job. But you did a great job at that. You had a great helper, though.
I did.
Oh, I love that dog. Talk a little bit about your dog that went with you to court and
Yeah.
stuff.
So, you know, in my time there at the Child Advocacy Center, it was really great. I had the opportunity to do a lot of great things and impact a lot of lives. But probably the thing I'm most proud of is we fought to get a courthouse dog, and we were the first in Tennessee to take a dog successfully into the courtroom and be able to go to trial and show. So we had a facility dog who was trained to go into the courtroom and sit with children when they had to talk about the things that had happened to them. Or it's a scary place for most people, but particularly for kids. And so Murch was our facility dog, and he was able to do that successfully. And you know, he has since retired, and that's probably one of the questions I get the most is, what happened to Murch? Where is he at? And you know, I get to tell people he's retired now. He just gets to be a dog, and he's just lounging around at the house like he's on vacation.
Isn't that great? Your kids love him, I know, and he was such a nice dog. No matter where he was taken or whatever, he was so well mannered. I'd see you at events and meetings, and you'd have him with him. He lay down, he never moved until you told him, and that's.
A lot of time, a lot of training invested in him. So, you know, you see a lot of police dogs, the courthouse facility dogs go through that same type of a training that the law enforcement dogs go through. It's just not on the aggressive side. But he was also trained with the side to help people with disabilities, and so he could open doors and open cabinets, and we even taught him to turn the pages of a book. So it was sort of helping.
Seriously?
Yes, it was sort of helping build that rapport with kids, helping, you know, I always said that he would sit in on forensic interviews, and when you were talking to children, you were there in that moment about something that had happened. It was so difficult for them that they were struggling to help, to tell you or to talk to you about what happened. He provided that comfort, and he would help kids find their words when they couldn't find them themselves.
He was great. I know he lives a great life now, though.
He does. He's certainly
great.
enjoying retirement.
So, what made you want to run for public office? Was there a moment that you just said, I need a change, or I want to do this?
You know, I'm not sure if there was a moment, but there was definitely a time where, you know, in the field that I was in, working with children who had been victims of abuse, you see about 1,000 a year, and as we talked about, it was really starting to take a toll on my body. I don't know that I had really realized it at that time, but I knew that I had a deep passion to serve other people and to help other people, but I wasn't sure what could I do from there. Where was I going to go? There wasn't really any other place to go, but I knew that I had a lot of knowledge, special skills that not everybody has, being in the court system, and so I decided at that point that I thought I would put those skills to work and be able to serve Putnam County.
The rest is history.
Yes.
Out of campaigning and everything, I always asked everyone this same thing, runs for public office. What was the thing you hated the worst out of campaigning?
Oh my goodness, hated the worst. You know, there were some really great moments that things were wonderful, and some of the events you go to are really fun and your whole family's having a great time. But I don't know that there was any one moment that I hated, but I think what I found the most difficult is that it really is a family affair.
It is.
It takes a toll on your whole family, and so especially when you have children, you try to be as available as you can, maintain your family schedule, and try to maintain some normalcy for your children, but yet be as available as you can and certainly be that servant to the county that you need to be.
Very difficult.
It
Very
is.
difficult. You're right. It's a family thing. If you don't have your family support, it makes it very difficult. We're talking to Jennifer Wilkerson, our circuit court clerk, this morning. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. Jennifer, as we go into our third segment, what's the most difficult part of your job, do you think, being circuit court clerk?
You know, it's a fast-paced job, but I think by far the most difficult position for me is that you see so many people, and sometimes there's just, you can't help people. Sometimes you can't do what you need to do, and you hear a lot of really sad, tragic stories where people have just reached a really difficult place in their life, and so that part for me is really hard, not being able to help them accomplish what they need to accomplish.
I find the same thing. Sometimes all you can do is listen. The law doesn't allow you to do anything. There's not anything you can do to help. Those are the worst ones. You made a lot of changes, especially in your first 4 months of office. Talk a little bit about that and the things that are happening in the office.
So, you know, one of the first things I think I said early on that I wanted to focus on was making sure that the office was working the most efficient way possible. And so I sort of sat back and evaluated a little bit, spent some time just getting to know the folks in the office, the inner workings on how things were going. And it's a difficult place to be because you want things to be efficient and be able to provide changes in the most cost-effective way possible while maintaining this superior level of service for the people. And so I found myself in this position of what changes can you make and where do you want to go with this. But so we did find some changes. The furniture, the cubicles, the carpet, that kind of thing hadn't been updated. Well, since the courthouse, the Justice Center came into existence. And
wow, back in 95.
Yeah, it was 95. And so one of the first things we did was we put the new carpet in and got workspaces for the people that are working inside the office to make that to where it's more efficient and where, you know, we have a lot of people in our office, about 25 currently. They're staffed in there. And so when you cram that many people into one office space, it's really difficult for them to be able to get things done. And so we wanted to provide a space that would help them get that done. And the old furniture and the desk had gotten to the point where, you know, it just really wasn't functioning anymore, and it was also really in really bad shape. But having said that, in 30 years, Putnam County had such great stuff that, you know, they hadn't had to replace those items in 30 years. And so hopefully we'll get another 30 years out of these.
Any future changes, things, I know when you come in, you can't do everything at once. It takes some time. Is there future things that you'd like to see changed?
There are. I'm really, again, still very committed to focusing on technology and making sure that the office works efficiently as possible. So in the past, we have not been able to have any mechanisms that we could accept credit cards or debit card payments, which is sort of difficult nowadays. We live in this digital era where people don't keep a lot of cash, or checks are not necessarily being used the way that they used to. So we're currently looking at bringing in credit cards and debit card machines where people will be able to pay those fines or those fees with those credit card machines. We're looking at increasing the technology, so having monitors and dockets out in the hallways of the courtrooms. Now, this, again, we talked about such a large volume. There is a lot going on in that building at any given day. And so when folks are coming in, it's sort of chaotic. They don't know where they're going or what courtroom they're supposed to be in. Those large monitors that we're looking at, bringing in, will be able to help folks figure out where they're going, get them there, and see what judge they're supposed to be in front of.
That's a great idea. You probably get a lot of phone calls of people just wanting to know where they're at on the docket.
Yeah, we do. You know, or they'll say, I'm not sure what courtroom I'm supposed to be in, where do I need to go? And, you know, again, with the volume increasing and we see that these things are going to come, we think that this, you know, that large increase of volume will also have an impact on the way that our system is working.
We're talking Jennifer Wilkerson, our circuit court clerk, this morning. Jennifer, the hours for your office, tell everybody what those are.
So we're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4.
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Telephone number if they want to call?
At 528-1508.
528-1508. we do this little segment. This gets a little personal. It's called I Like to Know Jennifer Wilkerson. So go ask you 4 or 5 questions, and you just tell me what the first thing pops into your head is for the
Okay.
answer. Favorite song? Do you have one?
You know, I don't know that I have a favorite. I'm very eclectic. I like a lot of music, but I think primarily I listen to a lot of gospel. And if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be How Great Thou Art.
How Great Thou Art. I love that. Do you sing it? For those of you listening out there that may not know, Jennifer Wilkerson sings the national anthem. Unbelievable. She has a great voice. You've sung it at a lot of events. Oh wow, you could make a singing a career, I think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think you're too kind, but no, I do sing that song actually. I sing that quite a bit in church, and I love to sing anytime that I'm given the opportunity. I think as many times as I've sung the national anthem, it should probably have been my favorite, but I think I'm definitely gonna
Difficult
sing.
song to sing.
Yeah, it is, but you know, it's fun.
It is. You do a great job. Favorite movie of all time? Do you have one?
Sort of a sap. I'm a romantic at heart.
Uh-oh.
I think if I had to choose, probably A Walk in the Clouds.
Walk in the Clouds. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Favorite food?
Favorite food? Well, I'm a Southern girl, and we typically just like to eat. And so I would say anything Southern, maybe cornbread or something like that.
Anything fried?
Yes, absolutely.
Anything fried. If you couldn't live in Cookeville, where would you live?
Oh my goodness. You know, I have never lived, I really haven't lived anywhere else, and I don't know that I would want to ever live anywhere else, but if I had a choice, it would be somewhere on the water, probably the lake. That's probably my favorite place, is the lake.
Kids enjoy the lake.
Absolutely.
We love to go to the beach too. That's get around water and have a good time with the kids. Those make a lot of great memories.
They sure do.
A lot of great memories. We're talking to Jennifer Wilkerson, our circuit court clerk, this morning. Couple things in history. Let's see how good your history is.
Oh, this is probably my worst.
Today in 1845, we got our 28th state. Any idea what that would be?
The 28th state. Is it close to us? Are you going to give me hints?
Kinda. We got a real problem with the border right now down there.
Mexico.
What border's Mexico? Texas.
Yes.
Texas was our 28th state.
Awesome.
1845. I thought that was pretty interesting on today. Thank you for being on the show this morning. I appreciate you being here, and you do a great job. So proud that you got elected, and we work together great, as do all the elected officials, and wish you the best, and hope you have a great weekend.
Well, thank you. You too.
And finally this morning, I'll leave you with something to think about. As another year comes to an end, I hope 2018 has been kind to you. In Putnam County, it's been a great year. Historical in some aspects. In most cases, it's all about what we make of the hand that is dealt us. If you always try to look at the glass half full and have a positive attitude, it's easier to navigate the difficult times. What will 2019 bring? Well, that's the exciting part, as none of us know yet. It's a canvas unpainted, waiting for the picture to take form. My wish for you is a great year full of prosperity, good health, and lots of time with your family. Happy New Year, Putnam County. That's our show for today. I want to thank again my special guest, Circuit Court Clerk Jennifer Wilkerson, for being with us. I hope you'll join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 for Today in Putnam County, right here on News Talk 107.7, 1400 The Hub. Remember, you can always download the WHUB Hub, and you can listen to us anywhere you go on your cell phone. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, hoping you have a great rest of your Saturday, and may God continue to bless our great county.